this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I'm going to be using copper embossing powder, a few colored pencils, a blender pen, not the blends, but a blender, soft seafoam ink, versamark, Happiness Abounds stamp set, this stamp here and this stamp here. The coordinating dies, Blossoms of Happiness dies. I am bringing in the iconic dies. I know they're retiring, but this die here I love, so I'm still gonna be using those. This is cut out of the vanilla, 3 of those. And I'm bringing in these dies, the Tailor Made Tags dies, the smallest one of this, and then I cut it smaller to make the label. Okay, and then from Positive Thoughts, I'm bringing in just the hugs part of this sentiment here, hugs, prayers, and love. Okay, and the emboss piece is this Fern 3D embossing folder. I have a scrap of vanilla, which I've already die cut them out. It's to cut out the ferns, so okay. And I have a piece of petal pink. It's just a scrap of petal pink. This is the brain is fried today. Soft seafoam. Some scraps. One is to do the leaves on. One is to do the tag on. You could probably get them all out of one, but just so I have enough. This is 4 by 5 1/4. It's very vanilla. Soft seafoam 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. My card base 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4, and again this is vanilla. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to put this aside. And the very first thing we're going to do is the embossing folder part. I'm going to take the embossing folder, and there's 2 sides to it. This side is got the raised images that will poke into this other side, which will make it embossed and have raised images on the top. This side is the concave side, and we're going to ink on this side so that we're inking the background, so the background will show. So I'm going to set it here so you can see. I'm going to bring in my soft seafoam, and I'm going to ink up this side of the embossing folder, the side with the Stampin'Up emblem on it. On the inside, you don't want to do on the outside, put the ink on the inside. And I'm just kind of lightly patting it on. Don't want to push too hard because you don't want it to go down into those ferns. You just want to get the outside. Okay. A little bit over here. Okay, then I'm going to take that piece of vanilla cardstock. I'm going to set it on this side. I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to go run it through my machine like you would 3D embossing folders. So I will be right back. Okay, you can see that that ink is pressed into the cardstock. So that's really pretty. So that is done. This just needs to be washed off with, you can run it through your sink. I'm just going to use a piece of my chamois. It's a light color. If it was a darker color, I'd worry about it more. Just make sure you wipe both sides, especially since the paper wasn't as big as the image. And I'll finish cleaning that later. Alright, we're actually done with this ink, so we'll put this away. Alright, set that aside to dry. And we're going to bring in, oh, where did it go? There it is. My blushing bride piece. We're going to bring in this stamp. I'm going to use my anti-static embossing thing. I'm also going to bring in this piece here. Might as well get them all prepped all at once. Okay, my versamark ink pad. Ink up my stamp. It's really sticky because I just re-inked it. Okay, I'm going to stamp this once here on this paper. Okay, I'm going to bring in my coffee filters and my copper embossing powder. Came out pretty good. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in the leaves. I need 3 sets of leaves. I know it's really hard to see, but go ahead and add the embossing powder on those. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this piece and my hug sentiment, which I've cut apart from the rest of the stamp because I use it separately more than I use it together. I'm going to go ahead and do this sort of, I'm going to leave space so I can die cut around it. We could do these each individually, you know, heat one and then come back, but I just did them all this way. Okay, let me put this away. And this is why I layer my coffee filters, so if I spill any, it goes into it and not it all over the place. Okay, so let's put the lid on this, put this away. I'll bring in my heat tool. Excuse me. Okay. I'm going to turn this on. Go ahead and heat from the underneath side so you can actually see. Try to. Hopefully you can see it when it starts. There it goes. It's starting to change. See how it changed from that powder to a shiny copper. Okay. Raise this away. just going to give it a quick once over from the top so I make sure everything's melted. For this one. Alright, now I'm going to bring in the appropriate dies. Let's move this over here. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, the mini. And let's start with this piece. Let's see if we can figure out where it goes. This way. Line this up on there. I've got a couple pieces of Post-it tape here. I'm going to use one of those. Okay, there's that piece. Put this away. I need the leaf. Probably should color these before I cut them out, but whoops. This is probably going to be a little bit of a longer video because it has a lot of techniques in it, I'm afraid. And it's just one of those cards I just love playing. One more. This is definitely a avid, artistically avid person's card. Okay, now for the sentiment, we're going to bring it in. We're going to put that label on there. Put it where we want it. Go ahead and put it tape down. Run that through. Okay, so you end up with this big long tag. I wanted it to be shorter, so I figured how long I wanted it. I put the blade, the die on there, and you kind of feel how when those little grooves the little dots it's cutting goes into the holes. I don't want to make the holes extend out the front of the tag. So I'm going to put it down. I think I want it even a little bit shorter. There we go. Tape on it so it doesn't move. Okay. Well, this time though, I'm not going to run it all the way through. I'm going to put this top plate on so that it's only part, it doesn't go all the way to the end, because I don't want that lines to extend. I don't want to cut these spots past this stitched line. I'll show you what I'm talking about once I get it through. Okay. Now, if I had put the plate going all the way across, these dotted lines would extend past these lines here. It would go all the way to the edge, and I didn't want that. Okay, so there's that. Okay, I want to show you how to cut the fern also. I already cut them all out, but I'll go ahead and show you anyway. Basically, I'm going to put my die on. Now this is an intricate die. So I ran it through once. And I ran it through again, back the other way. And I checked to see if it was going to pop out easily. It's not. Then I'm going to turn it over. It's not come out of the paper. And I'm going to run it through again. You can see the difference, because you can see how now it's just going to pop right out. Okay, and then I'm going to take my pokey tool and pop it out. Okay. Through my big machine, it only takes one pass back and forth. Let's see if I put it in this way to begin with, if it would work faster. Let's tape it down so it doesn't move. Let's see the difference. Actually, let's run it this direction. You can see the difference. Just with one pass, it cut all the way through, putting it that way up. See? It comes right out. So if you have an intricate die, put the blades facing up instead of facing down. Okay. Alright, move this away. Alright, now we can assemble this card. First I want to do a little bit of coloring. And for that, today I'm going to be using colored pencils. So I have a Calypso Coral, and I'm literally just going to scribble a little bit of color down here at the bases of each one of the petals. This one I'm doing the opposite of the one that I did with the blends yesterday, or the last video. A little bit of Calypso Coral at the base of each one of the petals. Just kind of going, it is embossed, so try not to rub on the embossing or you'll rub it off. And it's alright to leave the pencil lines. It just looks like the lines in the petals. Don't need a lot, just a little bit of color in each one, the base of each one of these petals. Okay, then I'm going to come in with cherry cobbler. I'm going to add just a little bit to the cherry cobbler down at the bottoms. Not much. I'm not going up as high as I did with the Calypso Coral. I'm just adding a tiny little bit at the bottom. Let's see. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the blender pen marker from Stampin'Up. And I'm going to lightly blend these colors out. So I'm going to start on where the marker is and I'm going to push it out towards the edge. I'm not going to go completely out. You don't want to scrub hard, you just want to go lightly, because if you scrub hard you're going to pill the paper. It's going to blend it out just a little bit. Okay, then for the greens, I used Granny Apple Green, and oh, I don't remember, this one's not labeled, I think it's Old Olive. It's from one of the kits, that one. I'm just going to add a little bit. Not sure these are the colors I used. I'd already put them away and I forgot I needed them out. See, I'm just scribbling a little bit in the bottom. I'm not going all the way up petals or the leaves. Like a little more up one side maybe than the other, but okay, then a little bit of this darker green down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to bring in the Calypso Coral. I'm going to add a little bit of that in there as well. I'm going to go up a little bit on that light side, the Calypso Coral. Okay, I can pick it up. Okay, then I'm going to bring in the blender pen again. I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to start at the bottom where the color is most intense. I'm going to just blend it up to the tip. See those? Okay, now we can assemble this card. So we'll bring in these pieces. We're going to attach this piece, which is 4 by 5 1/4, onto the 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of soft seafoam. I'm going to use my wet glue, if it'll work, since I left it open on my desk all night. There's just going to be a 1/16 of an inch border there. Okay, this is going to get attached to the front of our card. Again, there's going to be a 1/16 of an inch border. Okay, we're going to turn this over and put some dimensionals on the back of this. And on these leaves, we're going to put a dimensional on the top part of these big leaves, so I think I'm going to use a small dimensional instead of the regular ones. The bottom parts will be glued down flat. Whoops, these are still big ones. There. See, under these leaves, way up at the top. This will get dimensionals on it. Just on this end. Okay, so we're going to bring in those ferns. We're going to lay them out. We're going to put a couple here, like that. And I'm actually going to take this one dimensional off of here. If I can get it off. Because I'm going to use it to hold these down. Okay, then there's going to be one over here. Go ahead and put a dimensional on that one. We'll put this flower on here. Okay, now these, I'm going to take these backs off. I'll put a little wet glue down here at this base. I'm going to put one of these here. So the base will be stuck flat, but it'll have a little bit of dimension. One here. I think I put this one a little bit higher on the page, but that's alright. Probably like it better down a little lower, but this will work. Put this one down in here. Okay, now this, I'm going to bring in my ribbon. I'm going to tie a little bow. That one I actually looped it through, but it was really kind of hard to tie the bow, so I'm going to just do this instead. Tie the bow. Come in with a glue dot. put a glue dot at this end of the tag. I'm going to turn it over and I'll put a glue dot on the other side as well. Take this off. I'm going to tuck this in where I want it. Take that bow that I just made. And I'm going to attach that to that glue dot that's sticking off. Okay, then I'm going to come in with some brushed metallic adhesive back dots. There's a copper colored one. And what did I do with my take your pick tool? I don't know. Okay. Well, I'm going to take a big one and put it down here. And a small one next to it. And I'm going to take another big one and put one over here. I don't like it there. There, that's better. Okay, so there's the one we just made together. And here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.